Do FBA booksellers need an automatic repricer to make more sales, to be successful, to stay in the business long term, to make life easier? If I showed this video to 10 FBA booksellers who have at least a few thousand books in inventory, whether they are part-time or full-time, they would likely say yes, you do need a repricer. And chances are that they actually have a repricer. I have about 2,600 items in stock, most of them books. I do not have a repricer. And at this point, I don't plan on getting one. I have heard a wide variety of opinions on this here on YouTube, in the comments, and in videos, as well as in Facebook groups. There seems to be a large contingent of people who say, yes, you absolutely need a repricer, especially if you start to get into multiple thousands of books in inventory, regardless of if you're full-time or part-time, but especially full-timers, I seem to notice say that yes, you absolutely need a repricer. And some of the reasons are not only make more sales, but to free up more time so you do not have to manually go and reprice all of your items. If you have over 5,000 books, it seems that getting a repricer would make sense in terms of saving a lot of time, unless you are going to hire somebody to do it for you or a family member. And definitely if you start getting over 5,000 up to 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 books, it does seem to make sense to get a repricer. And if I were to get to that level, I might have to get a repricer because it would just take too much time to go in and manually reprice things. Of course, if you are sourcing well, i.e. buying books that are going to sell quickly for decent profit or sell in, let's say, 3 to 6 months for a little bit more profit, or sell in about 6 to 12 months for much more profit, then you shouldn't have to reprice too much. Of course, you can always make mistakes, not see something in the future, or see that a book might end up tanking and going to penny offer land, etc. That happens to everybody, including people that have been doing this for 5, 10, 12 years. And I'm no different, but I believe and I see that as I get better at sourcing and better at picking books and other items to resell on Amazon, that I am reducing the amount of books that are going to be sitting there for over a year without much potential for selling unless I dramatically drop the price or dispose of them. So hopefully, if and when I get up to 5,000 or more books in inventory, that will be the case for me, and I only have to reprice a small amount of them that sneak over a year, and when I take a look at them again, it looks like they're not going to sell for very much profit, and I'm going to have to lower the price dramatically to get that sale and at least break even or make a few bucks off of the book. That's my hope anyway. If you've been doing this for a long time, at least, or longer than me, I've only been doing it for a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. So if you've been doing it for 3, 4, 5 years or many more, have you found that to be the case? I wonder. Of course, repricing is not just for older books, it's also for books you've recently sent in and you want to compete with the other offers. And then you're basically battling against other repricers, so software versus software, and it's going to depend on the parameters you've set up, the templates and whatnot. What is the range? These mega sellers, they're willing to just drop their books dramatically. I'm assuming that they're getting them for dirt cheap. So they're willing to drop it all the way down to, $7, $6, down to $5 even, because they're still going to make a little bit of money, I assume. Make a buck or so, and they only spent a penny or so on the book. So when they have thousands of books like that. So repricer can be clearly ongoing repricing. That's the other benefit to a repricer. You can reprice every single day, multiple times a day, basically as much as you want, or depending on the software and how much it's able to do. But I've heard pricing 5, 10 times a day or more just to compete with these other repricers or new sellers that come on and put a new offer on the listing. Repricing is pretty much hands off. You just have to go back into your software and tweak the settings, change anything, adjust it, that sort of thing. But you can set it up and kind of forget it and it just runs in the background and does it for you. And I've heard people that say anywhere between 20 to 40% more sales when they went from not having a repricer to having a repricer. It also depends on how much you love or hate repricing manually. If you hate going in there and spending a few hours doing that every week or whatnot, then it makes sense to get a repricer. Pay the $40, $50 or more a month and have it do it for you, as long as you're making more sales and it's and it's more than paying for the software, and it's just more convenient for you, I understand, it makes sense. Also, though, you lose a little bit of control because you're not repricing yourself. So even though you set up the parameters of the software and set your templates and whatnot, it's still doing it for you, and you're not knowing exactly what's going on. You're just hoping that your settings are doing the right thing, making the right decisions on those individual books. I personally, not yet anyway, don't want to give up so much control of my items, and I like to go in there manually, which I've been doing especially lately because of the promo, to reprice things. I would really have to get my inventory up to a lot more than where it is, probably double if not more, and kind of go from there to see if Repricer made sense for me. So it's just kind of the thought of losing that control, and I'm not the only one. I've read some other sellers. One big seller in a FBA book selling Facebook group who does not use a repricer but has multiple thousands of books in inventory and prefers to just do it themselves and not lose control of that aspect of the business. And they admit that they are a control freak. I'm kind of the same way, at least at this point in the business. We'll see in a year or so if that changes. But I'm just hoping that my sourcing gets better. It's to the point to where I can source something and with a high level of confidence, know that the book will sell either quickly for low profit or a little bit longer for a much higher profit. And that just takes time. And I've learned that over the last 18 months. And my sourcing has gotten better, and my picker and my ability to understand the data that I see in the app, and then also when I list it to list it on a price that I feel that it will sell for and make enough profit for me. If I were to get a repricer today, would I get more sales? Possibly, probably, I'm not sure. But I'm just not ready to take that on yet, to learn the software and pay for it when I can go in there manually. And I don't mind actually repricing because I like to go back and look at the stuff and see what's happened. It's also educational for me to see the types of books that ended up not selling. So if I see them out there, I know not to get them again, or if I see ones like it, that sort of thing. It's just kind of a part of the learning curve for me. But again, maybe down the road when I have a much larger inventory, it will make more sense because I won't have as much time to do that. But who knows? For now, I'm going to go without the repricer. What do you think? Do you have a repricer and it made a big difference? Do you not have it? But you're thinking about it, and then now you have it and you say you can't go back? Because I can understand that, taking it away, that's part of the business, and having software do it for you. I've also heard some stories of people that the software had some issues and their books sold for way too low or went too high and they weren't getting any sales. That can happen with software when you give up the control. But I'm assuming that doesn't happen enough to make hundreds or thousands of people stop using a repricer. So let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'd be curious to know, because repricing is kind of a big deal. Once books have sat there for a few months, if they're not selling, you want to get back in there and check them out. And you want to have your books sell for what you want. And as always, remember, keep booking. Keep booking.